Welcome. In this module, we'll go into more detail into security validation. So what does security validation really mean? It means to confirm via walkthrough of the system or device. And the walkthrough is very important. The information security team actually sits with the IT resources. They sit together. It's like an audit. And the information security team conducts a walkthrough. So they actually pick up a control. And what they do is that they will make sure that the configuration has been correct. And they will check as part of the CIS or the DISA controls. And they will type in the details to make sure that the configuration is correct. And the CIS and DISA controls, as we had seen, they actually provide you the check measures as well. So they will tell you what to write in the command prompt, and if the output is following, then you're okay. Otherwise, then you have an observation. So to confirm via walkthrough of system or device or application that the security controls implemented by an IT team have actually been implemented correctly. And who implements these security controls once again? Under the security transformation model, security controls are always implemented by IT teams, information technology teams. And that is because they are the owner of the IT asset. And no one else other than the owner of the IT asset is allowed to touch the IT asset. So if you have an IT team who is owner of a server, which may be a Linux server, they have to take ownership for the server. They have to configure it. They have to make sure that it performs correctly and that the security controls which have been advised and suggested and agreed with information security team are correctly applied. And information security team will never touch the server. They will only sit down and do a walkthrough together with IT, and they will ask them to type in certain things, but they will never take control of the console. And that is because if they do that, if information security team kind of takes over the console and starts configuring the device or the application or the system, then IT cannot maintain control over that IT asset, and they cannot ensure the performance and the consistency of operation of the device. So information security team, generally speaking in the security world, never touches the IT asset or starts configuring. But that's slightly different from what an IT security team does, which is that they may have some operational responsibilities, but those are clear responsibilities which are then under the ownership of the IT security team, which is maybe running the security operation tools or running the antivirus tool, but that is a totally separate area. So who implements security controls? It's always the IT team. Who conducts security validation or the check or the confirmation? Security controls are always validated by the information security team or by a third-party security consultant following the principle of segregation of duty. So segregation of duty means that it's a maker-checker kind of a principle. One party applies the controls, one party checks the controls. And sometimes we refer to this as a four eyes principle. So there are four eyes looking at something and validating and making sure that something is correct. Two eyes, one person, and two eyes, another person. Why do we need to validate security controls in the first place? Important question. The answer is, number one, to check the completeness of the controls, that they have been applied in their entirety, to check the correctness of the controls, the granularity and specific configuration of each control, and as an overall assurance activity. That's why, and there are many aspects to assurance. So let's look at each one of these. The first one is to check the completeness of the controls. So usually hundreds of controls and sometimes thousands of controls need to be implemented in an IT environment as part of the security transformation model project. And there may be genuine omissions. There may be things which may be left out by mistake by technical team members. And that's because they're human. All humans make errors, and it may be a genuine omission. And there may have been errors made. In some cases, however, there will be attempts because people will, some humans are also lazy and there may be omissions by purpose as well. And that's also covered by when we check the completeness of the controls. To check the correctness of the controls, very important. Number two, to check the correctness of controls. Now, Technical capabilities of teams vary, and this is a fact in the IT industry. The technical capabilities of a newer organization and a slightly older organization, which may be 5 to 10 years old, will be much more mature, and they would have built up their capabilities over time. But a newer organization, which has been in business only for 2 or 3 years, would not have built up their technical capabilities. A much larger organization, for example, would have better competence and skills and capabilities because they have more financial resources and they're able to hire more senior people. Now, so as we see, the technical capabilities of teams vary, and that is dependent on the type and size and the business of the organization, and the type and size of the IT team as well. And not only that, but the technical capabilities of team members also vary. And each team member has a different level of competence and a different level of experience and a different level of interest in implementing the security controls correctly. So that is always going to happen. So we always need to check the correctness of the controls, which information security team needs to do in cooperation with the IT team, and they need to sit with them and do a walkthrough as we discussed. And then finally, a technical issue may not have genuinely been understood correctly. So that's also another issue. And because the issue was not understood correctly by an IT team member, they may not have applied the control correctly. Now, number 3, why do we need security validation? Because it's an overall assurance as well. And overall assurance, IT team may not have sufficient resources to ensure 100% completeness and correctness of the security controls. And that means that they may not have enough time, they may not have enough people, they may not have enough budget to fully take on the security transformation program in its with its full motivation, or with the full commitment. And implementation by IT and validation by information security teams forms a healthy team relationship because there's a check and balance. And when these team members meet, it not only helps to improve their own competence, knowledge, and awareness and understanding, but in a team environment, they're all able to cover when one of the team members is lacking in any area, or there may be a genuine omission, or there may be a gap in understanding a particular security control. Now, for overall assurance, this is also referred to as maker-checker principle, because when people work together, one team only applies the controls and another one has to go and check that has actually been done according to the agreed steps and the checklist. It's called a maker-checker, and that comes under segregation of duty principle. It's a very important principle in the information security field, and we do it on many, many occasions. And that becomes a primary role for information security because they have to do this independent validation. Some of the controls may have been designated as not applicable, not relevant for that particular IT environment or organization or setup, or it may have been designated as not possible because an authorization may not have been given, or an approval may not have been given, or a vendor may not have replied back with sufficient information in order to apply that specific control. And the reasons and justification needs to be reviewed because, you see, the CIS control set for, let's say, Windows 2012 R2 server may have 250 controls, hypothetically speaking, and the IT team may have decided, the team member of IT who was responsible for applying those controls may have decided that only out of 250 controls, only 200 controls are relevant and 50 controls are not relevant. And that is a call that the IT team member makes by himself. It may be because the control is difficult, or it may be because the full effort was not made by the IT team member to understand the control. Okay, so whenever not applicable or not possible has been mentioned on the checklist, it needs to be checked, discussed by the information security team member. And significant resources are allocated to the security transformation program. This part actually says that the organization has actually invested a lot of time and money and resources into the security transformation program. So even if one control has been missed, either by mistake or by intention by any team member, that may affect the security posture of the entire organization. And that is, we actually find out something like that when there is an attack or there's a hack. Even if one control was missed by IT because of the completeness or the correctness of the application, or when the controls were being applied, when there is actually going to be a hack and that control was missed because it was marked as irrelevant because the proper research and effort was not done into applying that control, then it actually impacts the security of the organization. It means that our shield, which we've put up, what we're trying to put up for security hardening, that shield is not strong enough. And when there's a hack or attack on that shield, it's actually going to create an impact on the organization. So the ability, integrity, and diligence of team members are key factors which affect the full the full extent or the full completeness and correctness of the controls, how they are applied. And the ability, integrity, and diligence requires that what we should do now is that the security team or information security team should apply, should actually do the walkthrough and do the security validation to make sure that everything has been done properly. And the healthy technical debate and cross-checks have a positive outcome on the program. So the information security team or the information security management committee in our information security transformation model is tasked with the overall responsibility of the success of the security program. And any lapses discovered later fall squarely and entirely on the, under the responsibility of the information security team or the ISMC. So the security validation becomes an essential activity and needs to be established in an environment of healthy and professional commitment to ensure the 100% complete and correct implementation and upkeep of the controls takes place due to all the reasons that we've mentioned. That's all that we have for this module. Thank you.